Welcome to the show. I'm Jason Whitlock, and I'll tell you why there's a good chance Tom Brady won't be holding this trophy again this year.
And I'm Colin Cowherd, and I'll tell you why everybody blaming Dave Roberts for the Dodgers' loss last night is nuts. Speak for yourself starts right now. That game was nuts.
Game was nuts.
The weather,
Baseball's all about second guessing, man. All right, welcome to the show. We're joined today by Eric Davis and Nick Swisher. Let's start in Los Angeles, where the Astros mounted a late comeback in a wild Game 2, stealing a win at Dodger Stadium in the 11th inning. Dave Roberts surprised a lot of people by pulling starter Rich Hill after 4 innings, even though Hill was cruising. Roberts ended up emptying his bullpen and had to turn to Brandon McCarthy, who had only pitched 6 innings in the last 3 months. McCarthy, of course, surrendered the game-winning home run to George Springer. Here's Roberts on pulling Hill.
What was the thing of just taking Rich out after 4? Was there a chance he would go longer, or was the situation?
There was a chance. I just felt that right there at the top of their order coming up, and with the way our bullpen's been throwing, and you look back behind that, we had 3 scoreless innings after that, and so to just trust that the guys behind them, and the bottom line is, you know, I'll take Kenley any day of the week with a 1-run lead going to the 9th inning.
All right, Cowherd, did Roberts over-managing cost the Dodgers?
No, crazy happens. That's what happened. Like, we crush all these managers. So, record heat. Games starting earlier, airs thinner. Astros hit homers in the 9th, 10th, and 11th. Never happened in a playoff game. The bullpen had been perfect, suddenly flawed. I mean, look at the stuff that happened last night. I say this all the time.
Are you forgetting Rich Hill's 7 strikeouts on just
okay, but again,
that happened too.
We all know that outside of Clayton Kershaw, here's what we know. Okay, there's Clayton Kershaw, he's the exception. The rest of the Dodgers, it's all about getting to the pen. He got to the pen. They had a 3-1 lead, then a 3-2 lead. It was exactly what you wanted, and then all of a sudden, crazy happens.
Listen, I don't blame Dave Roberts. I think if you're going to blame anybody, blame the organization. This is their philosophy.
Yes.
You don't see a guy a third time, so I blame the organization. But if you're paying Rich Hill $48 million,
he's making some cheese.
60 pitches, 7 strikeouts, let the man, at least let him face one batter in the 5th, let him earn his money and see what's going on. And so, again, I think you can blame the organization for not having any flexibility and understanding that, look, regular season rules might not be the same as in the postseason.
That point, I think, the postseason is a little different.
Well, I'm going to blame Dave Roberts because that was his decision. Forget that's what the organization do, but in that moment, that was his decision, and Hill was fine. So I heard what he just said about getting to the bullpen. Yes, that is what they do. We all understand that. But you didn't do it the night before. And Kershaw he's had some issues after the 6th inning. Right. You didn't do that. Yeah. I think you trot him back out there and you keep going because everything, the way it played out and all the crazy you're talking about, Colin, all that crazy happened after he pulled Rich Hill. I think you let him stay out there a little bit longer and you don't go into your bullpen as much.
I mean, obviously being the Monday morning quarterback, it's easy to look back and say something
like
that. But this was their game plan going into the game. 25-inning scoreless streak for the Dodgers bullpen. There has been such a big push to get those guys in the game because they have done nothing but throw up zeros the entire postseason. Now, looking back, Rich Hill, I've known him since college. Anytime Rich Hill goes into the dugout and is visibly upset to be out of that game, that says something to me. I also think Dave Roberts, he knows his guys. They have had such a tremendous season. But, hey, man, sometimes, like you said, craziness happens. Like, you know, Roberts said, hey, they had 3 innings of no-run baseball right after Rich Hill came out of the game. So if you want to blame somebody, maybe blame the back end of the bullpen, Kenley Jensen.
Or the rules that make them play 9 innings instead of, you know, there were the 2 extra innings.
Well, yeah, no, he managed the game for 9. It became 11.
Of course, that's what I'm saying.
To your point, though, the downside to analytics, players are reduced to numbers. Now, players will swallow it hard and go, I love it when you're winning. But that's the downside to playing through a binder, that when you lose, it's like it doesn't make sense. And to your point, the rigidity with analytics is basketball, shoot threes, NFL, no huddles. I don't like, this is my knock on analytics. You reduce players to a notebook. They're humans.
And again, this is why I say the organization. They had Don Mattingly as their manager and ran him out so they could get a manager and they could control and bully. And maybe I'm making an excuse for Dave Roberts, But I just think he stuck to the script that they handed him. We gave you this job to do what we want you to do from up here in the press box or the skybox, and he followed that script, and it cost him last night.
And it didn't work, which makes him wrong because he has to make that decision on the field at that moment. He has to make that decision. You can't go to the binder and blame it on the binder.
I tell you one thing that really, like we're talking about all these pitching, the one thing that really kind of stands out to me is not only taking Rich Hill out of the game early, but asking your closers to go out and do things night after night that they're not used to doing. Closers are used to coming into a clean inning, 3 outs, game over, hey, busted 11. That's not really the case here in the postseason. Closers are having to come in either the late 7th inning, early 8th inning, try and get 5, 6, 7 outs. Closers aren't used to doing that. So I feel like that you're putting guys in situations that they're not used to being in.
I'm winning you over.
See,
slowly.
But let's also put this in some context. If Yasiel Puig makes a catch, of which he came like that far from, you know, we wouldn't have this topic on the show. I mean, it was setting up to be your classic Dodger, take a lead closer,
exactly.
done.
My last point on this is, because I believe like the Kansas City Royals kind of made this in vogue about the whole. But I get why Kansas City, because they're not paying the kind of money the Dodgers. They don't have that kind of roster, so I understand the system. The Dodgers have paid for the best talent in baseball, and if you've paid Rich Hill $48 million, let him earn it.
Well, you paid Jacoby Ellsbury $150 in New York, and you saw him on the bench. So it just kind of sees it's almost like you're trying to go in the playoffs. Who's hot? Because there's not a lot of chances to miss out on.
By the way, you notice who we're firing in baseball? All the managers who got to the playoffs.
All the winners. All the winners.
To New York, where the Yankees announced today that Joe Girardi will not return as manager. He's been at the helm in the Bronx for 10 seasons. That's a long time in the Bronx. Won a World Series in '09. Led the Baby Bombers all the way to Game 7 of the ALCS this year, way ahead of schedule. Girardi addressed the decision today, saying, quote, "With a heavy heart, I come to you because the Yankees have decided not to bring me back. I'd like to thank the Steinbrenner family for believing in me, giving me this wonderful opportunity. Whitlock, mistake by the Yankees, letting him go."
I think so. Look, everything you just said there, they're ahead of schedule. They go to the 7th game of the ALCS when that wasn't what their expectations were. This was supposed to be a rebuilding year. And so here's another veteran, experienced manager, somewhat like Don Matt. Let's run him out there. And for what? Who better? Perhaps a puppet that they can control. Again, I see a lot of these teams, and they want to run everything from the press box or the luxury suite, the executives. They're so much smarter than the people that are actually in the fire. I think this is a mistake.
Listen, a lot of coaches, like in football, they're an offensive guy or they're a defensive guy. What makes Belichick great is he can do salary cap, he can hire defense.
Yeah, he's a freak.
Okay,
He can do it all.
He's a freak. So let me ask you, what didn't Joe Girardi handle well? Great with the media. He handled Mariano Jeter's retirement. He handled the A-Rod circus. He handled George Steinbrenner Sr., then the Steinbrenner kids. Now a rebuilding team. Like Belichick, they asked him to do an old team, a team with stars, a team with kids, the media, the senior Steinbrenner, the younger Steinbrenner. What did he fail at? He handled young, old, stars, diva, circus, HGA, everything perfectly.
Well, there is one thing I know about the New York Yankees organization, that this move would not have been made unless this was thought out to the umpteenth degree. I mean, they're definitely thinking way ahead. You're seeing a lot of managerial positions that have been open now. And like you're saying, Dusty's are gone, the Girardis are gone, the Farrells are gone.
And by the way, Joe Madden's getting questioned now.
It's
suddenly.
crazy because it's such like a swift judgment, you know? I feel like you got to make your decision right now. Hey, Joe Girardi did a tremendous job for the Bombers. 10 years, guys. There's not a whole lot of managers. I think there's 2 teams that have had 2 managers in the last 20 years. It was like the Yankees and I think the St. Louis Cardinals. So I think like if you're talking about bringing in a new manager, it's going to be interesting to see. But I would have to think that they have taken this thought like and thought about it a whole bunch, because losing a guy like Joe Girardi and somebody else picking him up is, hey, you know, like the old saying, one man's trash is another man's treasure. It's crazy.
You know better than most how much thought would go into this, but that still doesn't mean they didn't make a mistake. Girardi has come in and he took over a solid squad, and he did what he's supposed to do with a solid squad. He won a championship with it. Okay, now they're going through this rebuild. And unfortunately for him, he's working in a city for an organization that, they want their eggs. They want them boiled, fried, poached. They want them scrambled, but they don't want to wait for the hen to lay the eggs.
Right.
And that's what happens up in New York, and that's the situation that he's in. It's a young team. As you just said, they're ahead of schedule, and he's getting caught up in the fact that they haven't won it in a while as opposed to what they are about to do. And I think that's the case right there. And I'm thinking they're making a mistake because you're not going to find someone that's going to come in and do a better job.
Well, you don't know that just off the bat. I mean, by the way, something had to have happened either with the front office or in the locker room, stuff that we don't know, to get rid of a proven winner like Joe Girardi, man, because losing somebody like that, 10 years, handling that New York media is something only few can do. And it seems like he did such a tremendous job with that, to your
Cashman, they say, wanted him out. He's recommended this move, and ownership followed through. I think we're just living in this culture of data and analytics, and I think it's not just impacting sports. I think it's impacting the entire society, where these people that think they understand numbers, if everybody else just follows our script, what the numbers tell us to do, everything will be fine. Yeah. And so older guys like a Joe Girardi are getting run out. Right. Don Manley got run out with the Dodgers.
Dusty Baker, same as well.
They're getting run out.
There's been a cultural change. When Joe Girardi took over, especially Joe Torre, the Yankees had a significant financial advantage on the sport. But now, because of the regional television deals, the Yankees don't always win the free agent game. Kansas City's making money. Colorado's making money. The Cardinals. So that when the Yankees used to be able to dominate the hot stove league, they don't. Players now stay with their team in another contract.
Well, they can't just buy the best player anymore.
So, like, the fact that Joe Girardi got in 10 years to 3 ALCS, that's very good today. Yes. In the 90s, that's not good enough. Got to get to 5 or 6. So I think the expectations for the Yankees, it's like the Lakers. Oh, we'll just get the free agents. Players can make money in Oklahoma City now. They don't need to go to LA.
There's money everywhere.
Everything's changed. Welcome back. Join now Hall of Famer Eric Dickerson, former NFL head coach Eric Mangini, who we haven't had on the set for a while. He lives in Cleveland. Hard to get him out here to LA. It's such a struggle.
Was you here yesterday?
Yeah, I was. Thanks for noticing. I'm glad I made an impact.
Let's move to New England, where the Patriots announced that linebacker Dante Hightower out for the year, torn pectoral. That's a tough one. He's good. New England's 5-2, still favorites to win the Super Bowl, but Tom Brady has had to put up just a ton of points to overcome their already porous defense. Whitlock today, Hightower out. Should the Patriots still be Super Bowl favorites?
Today, absolutely, because, they're the New England Patriots, and their pedigree and history say they can overcome anything. Now, Sunday night, we may have to revisit this conversation after we see what they do without Hightower. When they lost him the first game of the season to the Chiefs, their defense fell apart. He came back. He's helped improve their defense. Let's see if they fall apart again. I anticipate their defense not recovering because, you just can't have this much injury and this kind of talent loss, this kind of veteran leadership loss. And so I expect it to fall back apart. But today, it's hard for me to second-guess Bill Belichick.
I think their offense is historic. And I think what's happened is when Randy Moss and Wes Welker, household names, become names, and Brady, it was so celebrated and so discussed. We were like, yeah, that offense is amazing. I think this offense is similar. You just don't know Brandon Cooks. You don't know Rex Burkhead. They have more weapons today than I've ever seen a team have. You go to the last 19 games on the left and go to the last 19, the best 19 Moss and Welker ever had on the right. Look at the numbers. It's the same offense. You just don't know Chris Hogan. You don't know Philip Dorsett. You don't know Brandon Cooks. You don't know Rex Burkhead. And by the way, their center's playing great. Shaq Mason's one of the top guards. Solder's good on the left side. I think this offense is way better than we think. And I think it's as good as that offense. We just celebrated the Randy Moss, Welker, Brady offense more. So I think they should be favorites.
And when you look at what they had to deal with early on, losing Julian Edelman, who was such a core part of that offense, and they've still been able to put up the numbers that they put up. It's smart football. It's selfless football. They take advantage of whatever the defense is giving them, and they adjust, whether it's new players, whether it's the way they have to attack a scheme, and it's the same thing defensively. So in the first part of the season, they came in thinking they were going to be something, and they realized that they have to be something else. They wanted to be more of a over and under front type defense, rush up the field, play post safety man-to-man coverage. That's not really where it's going to be for them this year. So they're transitioning more to covering up the front three, like a bear front. They're playing more zone defense. They're processing what they have to be, and that's why you've seen the improvement that they've had over the last 3 games, and that's the ability this team has.
Yeah.
The Patriots are the Patriots. I mean, when you talk about them, you have to say that they're going to be back in the Super Bowl. Now, their defense is not that good, but still, when you have Tom Brady on a football team, you can never count that football team out. I mean, I think we expect the Patriots to play at this level, and when they play at that level, that's not good enough for us because you get used to this level, but they're still the New England Patriots. And I agree with you. Man, you can never, ever count them out to the last whistle blows.
Think about the last 2 Super Bowl wins for them. I think we both felt Seattle had better talent, and I think most of us felt Atlanta had equal talent, and they won both Super Bowls. They overcome a lot because they're smarter, they game plan well. I mean, let's be honest. You mostly win in the playoffs, mostly. Out-coach, out-quarterback, Belichick, Brady. Like, all I worry about defensively, can they be situationally great, 3rd down, red zone? And then if they can force you to some field goals, they're going to drop 28.
I think everybody's made some excellent points because my mind is kind of blown, one, about this offense being as good as that historic offense with Randy Moss. And then, Eric, I think your point about they're figuring out on the move who they are defensively. And so it makes me want to follow. Hightower has been a big part of their defensive identity, leadership, a guy that Belichick can count on. Can they make this adjustment and remove this kind of talent and still overcome?
Well, they've got a guy that they haven't used very much, and he's not exactly like Hightower, but they've got David Harris there. And David Harris has been a really good linebacker for a long time.
Smart veteran guy.
He fits into that system perfectly in terms of his ability to quarterback the defense, his flexibility, where he is mentally, his leadership. So I'll be curious to see what his role is moving forward. And he hasn't had a significant role to this point. So their ability to adjust, look, Gilmore, I think, is going to get better in the system. He struggled here early. They're learning about him as well.
They have a young D lineman, too, they like.
They've got a couple young defensive linemen they're playing. So it's never going to be what you'd ideally want it to be, but it's going to be better than it has been.
Hey, listen, they've gone to Super Bowls without Gronk. They played years without Gronk.
Now, the only asterisk I'll put to this is Pittsburgh looks pretty good.
Yeah.
They're explosive offensively. That defense is getting saltier and saltier. They're going to be a problem.
Welcome back, Eric Dickerson. Eric Mangini here. Let's move to Kansas City, where the Chiefs are off to a great start this year, largely on the strength of the new and improved Alex Smith, who's played as well as anybody in the league at quarterback. Even still, that didn't stop Travis Kelce, great tight end, from singing the praises of Smith's backup, Patrick Mahomes. Said Kelce, quote, "Hey, Alex, here we go. He's showing Patrick just how to execute, and what Mahomes does in practice is just unbelievable." I mean, what kind of behind-the-scenes stuff that you guys haven't seen on Sunday is, it's just, as Mahomes is getting better, getting more fluent, getting more comfortable, just being a professional athlete and understanding the scheme and the timing. So Whitlock, he's talking him up. Is he throwing shade? Should Alex Smith be bothered by Travis Kelce's comments?
I would be bothered. Alex Smith won't be. Alex Smith accepted what's his fate in Kansas City when they made this move in the draft. And he's locked in and focused on his performance and leading that team this year. He probably maybe agrees with Travis, but Travis Kelce is a very talented idiot who does stupid things on the field and draws unsportsmanlike conduct penalties and puts his team in a bind. And here they are, the quarterbacks, 15 TDs, no interceptions. They've lost 2 in a row. The city of Kansas City has been a bit frustrated with Alex Smith. Why Travis Kelce is not smart enough to know, don't put any gas on this fire. But that's just not who Travis Kelce is. He does dumb things.
Shouldn't a quarterback, I mean, just part of the job qualifications, be able to handle media criticism, coaching criticism, and sometimes teammates saying stuff and putting you in the crosshairs. Like, this is part of life. Like, when you're a quarterback, you're getting ripped by the media, your coach is calling you out,
15 TDs, 0 interceptions. What's to criticize?
Well, what's to criticize is he's starting to look like Alex Smith, 1 touchdown games. Doesn't have a very high ceiling.
Well, one of the things I really respect about Alex Smith is his confidence and his resilience and the things that he went through in San Francisco and then to come to Kansas City and be the player that he's been and continue to improve. So I don't think any of those things bother him. He's very comfortable in his own skin and who he is, which to me makes him an outstanding player and an outstanding leader. But outside of that, these quotes are a little unfair to Kelce because they came with a bunch of other stuff. It said that Alex Smith does an unbelievable job running the offense. It said that Alex Smith is an unbelievable leader. It said that he said that Alex Smith is an unbelievable teacher and teammate who's showing Mahomes how to do things. So there's a lot of praise that we didn't quite get in the
Thank you. It's killing me. I'm like, see, that's what the media does. That's what they do. They don't show all what he says. He says he's the ultimate professional. He's showing him how to be the ultimate quarterback. I mean, I go back to when I played in Indianapolis. Jeff George did not have this guy. If he would have had an Alex Smith to show him how to be a professional, show him how to play quarterback, show him how to control a football game, he didn't have that. He said just what you said, Coach. He's a great teammate. I'm showing him.
Why couldn't he just leave it at that? Why does he have to throw in the praise for Mahomes and blah blah?
But you know what? That's part of it because he probably is playing great. He's probably going to be a great quarterback one day. And the day is coming when Alex Smith will have to step aside. But look, Alex Smith had 7 offensive coordinators. 7. You know what that is? That's like having 7 different head coaches. 7 girlfriends. You know how hard that would be, 7 girlfriends? I mean, Alex Smith is, as a starter, 32 starts, 26 and 6. That's pretty good. I mean, for a guy they thought, he's a bust.
If you want athletes to be authentic, then you've got to let them talk. And when they talk,
y'all not Chiefs fans.
But why?
I watched this guy get penalties and do dumb things.
You don't like Travis?
I thought you were a Rams fan.
He's a very talented guy. He's a talented guy.
Why can't you just leave it at that?
He always has to add something. He makes a great play, and then he'll do something stupid to mess up the play and get him a penalty. And again, he's saying the right things, and then he's got to add that little bit of extra. It's like, wow, man.
He was probably asked a very specific question about Mahomes. That's probably what would happen.
You know what my answer would have been?
What's that?
Our starting quarterback's got 15 TDs, 0 interceptions.
We're going to kill the guy for praising 2 teammates?
Really?
Yeah, that's what I would say.
Sometimes a meal comes with a little dessert. It's not good for you, but you order it. He had a little dessert to his quote. You're all worked up.
He didn't add dessert.
You sound like a Chiefs fan.
Yeah.
Are you?
Yes, I'm a Chiefs fan. If y'all watch this Travis Kelce do dumb stuff on Sundays,
he's the best tight end in football.
That does dumb things. All right, welcome back. Eric Davis is back, and we're joined now by the founder of the Big Lead, Jason McIntyre. Let's move to the NBA, where Lonzo Ball and the Lakers took down John Wall and the Wizards last night.
Wow.
Just as LaVar Ball predicted earlier this week, Lonzo's performance was a mixed bag, but Wall didn't torture him as Marcin Gortat promised, and as the game came to a close, even Wizards announcers had to hand it to Lonzo's dad.
Makes a move, takes the shot, no good, and the Los Angeles Lakers have stunned the Washington Wizards here. Never question LaVar Ball again. The Wizards added fuel to his verbal fire tonight, and his team and his son have come back to take this game.
All right, not surprising, LaVar found time to gloat after the game, saying, quote, "I told you so. I've seen this story before." Cowherd, is it time to admit LaVar is good for Lonzo's career?
No, but I don't think he's an impediment. I don't think he's great for it, but I really believe this. Dads matter in Little League, and they may matter in high school. They matter less in college. When you get to the pros in any sport, dads are in the rearview mirror, and you succeed, Kobe Bryant, or fail, Tim Tebow, on your skill set. And at this point, you get to the pros, man. You're talking Ritz-Carlton, security, on the road, national travel. And by the way, now you're making some money. you got girls, dad's not at the house all the time. So I don't think he's helping him. I do not think he's an impediment.
I gotta say, look, there's some good to LaVar and there's some bad. Just like good to me, bad to me. Every parent, every person has the pluses and minuses. So, you know, did he put his son in position to be an NBA player? Absolutely. Like you, I think now that he's in the NBA, it's all on Lonzo, and it's really not about LaVar's not going to help. I do think if he continues to run his mouth and becomes a talking point for other NBA players, that's a problem for his son. But right now, his son seems to be handling it.
Go ahead, man.
You sure? I don't want to be Mr. Negative here. Listen, guys, it's way too early in the career to say he's helping him. What I saw last night actually troubled me a little bit, okay? They made a great comeback in the fourth quarter. Brandon Ingram was excellent. Julius Randle defensively was great. Guess what happened after the game? All the questions. Hey, LaVar Ball, he was great. You know athletes, Eric, okay? Pro athletes are proud. I've been interviewing for 20 years. These guys do not want to take a backseat to anybody. You mentioned it, Ritz-Carlton, security, they're big stars, and they go in the locker room after a big win, and that's what they're asked about? LaVar Ball? I just don't know long-term, Eric, if this is a good thing for a young team with a lot of impressionable athletes.
That's the environment that they've set up there. Remember the first press conference, Magic Johnson comes in and says, you know what, let me keep one of my records. A couple of days ago, you get Luke Walton saying he reminds me of Kobe down the stretch. They're so that's what this organization is doing. They're making everyone talk about him. Now, do I think that his dad, LaVar, is hurting his career? That's a no. It's not going to affect his career. What his dad has done is put him in position to where we actually care about what an average guy is doing on a bad team. That's what, without his dad saying anything, his rookie season is going to be an average year for a player, and they're going to be a bad team. This is not a playoff team. And that's what it is right now. LaVar can't shoot right now. We wouldn't be paying attention to anything else. I'm sorry, Lonzo can't shoot.
We know LaVar can't. We've seen the tape.
There you go. But so you're looking at Zoe, and Zoe can't score the basket. We wouldn't be paying attention to him. So we're paying attention to what he has done and he's doing because of his dad. So he's put him in position to where he gets attention. But as you guys said, his play is going to dictate his career.
Let me ask you this. And I said in that little thing we did before we came on, I thought Lonzo won last night. 8 years in the league, John Wall still can't shoot and was awful 1 for 10 down the stretch. John Wall failed last night.
Yeah.
Lonzo, 9 boards, 9 assists. The Lakers' culture, you can see they're a better passing team.
I thought it was 8-8, but I get your point.
Who won last night?
But why is he winning? But when we were getting the triple doubles from Westbrook, you were like, I don't care about guards getting rebounds.
Listen, I'm not saying it's the be-all, end-all. I'm saying here's a 19-year-old in the league. Yeah. Because of his length and the way he defensively rebounds, he's a really good. I mean, that's what scouts are saying now. His rebounds have a purpose. Grab, kick, start, go. Not to score. He wants the ball. He rebounds well on the defensive side, right? And he also passes well. And he also. He's creative. His shot will eventually drop because it's dropped everywhere. He's an inconsistent.
I don't know about that.
All I know is who won last night. Lakers won. Who won?
They did, but I think Jason makes the best point. How's this going to play long term?
Yeah, think about
He wasn't the key to them winning.
Not at all.
But the conversation is about his dad and him. Yeah. I don't know if that's just going to play in the locker room
Now,
forever.
Whitlock, let me take it next level. Remember last year around Thanksgiving, LaVar said, UCLA is going to win the national championship. They go on to lose to Kentucky in the tournament. What does LaVar say? Well, you can't win a title with 3 white guys. You don't have the foot speed. What would have happened if they lost last night? Would we have seen him blame Brandon Ingram or Luke Walton? Like, he got lucky and called that game.
Well, no, I can tell you what's going to happen long term. Long term, Brandon Ingram and Randall won't be there. They're going to be in a package to go somewhere else. That's what's going to happen if they're unhappy about it, because they're going to build. You already see the organization building around Zoe. That's not going to change. And if Brandon Ingram doesn't rise his play, and you see the same thing with Randall, you may be able to package those guys to go out and get you a player and get something that they want down the road. And that's what I see happening anyway. I don't think they're going to be here long term.